Alright, welcome back to Takabola Gaming. My name is Takabola. We're going to continue our tutorial. Currently playing as Castile, and currently at war with Granada and Tunis. So we're going to try and take this fort. I have a 14% chance to actually take the fort. Now they are moving. They're going to combat this 1.9 stack as they leave, which is a good idea. If you see someone landing, it takes a long time to land, and actually that was increased in our current patch of 1.30. So if you can move, you will then defend, and they will get a crossing penalty, so this 1.9 stack will be wiped out in a matter of a couple of days. Now I did not take the fort, but I did increase my chances by 14%. So it's worth noting what happened here with England, and England did not cede that province, which is a fort, which could be a problem when I attack Portugal. So they won that battle, and they're going to go back. And they're going to sit here, and they're going to wait. And I have taken Kef, so now, if you were watching the last video, I couldn't walk here. Now I can. So we're going to walk there. We're going to dogpile everyone on those forts, and then I'm going to keep these guys moving. Now, how I'm doing this... I tell them to go here with a right click, and then I'm holding shift down and telling them to go to their next destination. These guys, I'm telling them to kind of move in, and then we'll then worry about this. Now I'm going to tell you to go over here, and it'll be good. So this army should be done very, 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 very quickly. Not as quick as I expected, because Highlands is a territory where we are losing due to the terrain. It does say that... Okay, so just terrain. Okay. The crossing penalty is applied based upon your general's abilities. So... Now I'm going to have you go up there, because that is the 4 siege, and I want that to be the case. Now they are likely going to retreat to this fort. So I'm going to tell this army to actually head down to Tatooine, and I'm going to tell this 6 stack to stay here. The 3.9 stack will continue on to Suwa. The other thing about this is I don't need... Well, I guess I only have 1,000 troops there. I need some men with them. It'll be okay. So this fort should fall a lot faster because it doesn't have nearly as much strength. Oh, they're continuing on. Now I'm going to press my advantage. I can't go past here. So we're going to just head up into this fort. And we're going to start the siege there. You can see 49%. It's really hard. I don't have my 4 siege general. In fact, I have a 0 siege general, so I don't have that aid. And also it's the level 2 fort. So that'll take a little bit longer. But once Tunis falls, then I can bring my 4 siege general down, and we can do that. Now, I do only need 6 regiments, so it might not hurt to go ahead and take the 5 cavalry and 5 infantry and maybe take it down. I usually don't like to do 6 if I need 6. I like to do 7 just because we might lose some men. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 8. And I actually want my general, but we'll do this here. I have no idea what just happened with my camera. And we're going to basically just try and siege down everything that I can. And let's see. I do not want to lose a stability. That is for sure. Stability is very important. It is more important than prestige. So even though I want my prestige and I want clergy loyalty, it won't go below 30, so we're okay there. I want stability even more, because stability costs administrative power to boost back up, and I have 0. You definitely do not want to have it drop below 0 for any length of time. Ideally, it would be at 1, but I haven't been able to spare the administrative power. So we're going to allow him to remain free, and hopefully the Papal State will forgive me. I'm going to split this army again, and it splits nicely, keeping the cavalry ratio in balance. Now, Tunis wants to say, hey, you know what, you beat me, let's talk peace. But if I click on them and go up here to sue peace, they are not going to do the peace deal we talked about in the last episode. They're like, no, that's way too much. You only have 51% war score. So we will say, nope, not interested in your peace offer. I'm going to right-click to dismiss it, and I'm going to keep going. It might be, though, that when we take their capital, that it'll be done. So now I cannot move here. Oh, I can move there. Then I will. We're going to move down here. And I'm going to keep moving. Can you go here? You can. Now they have a 3-1, but fire phase, the first number, doesn't really matter at this point in the game. So let's go ahead and move on down to reinforce. Everyone come down to reinforce, and then we'll finish occupying them down there. Now I am losing money. I think primarily because I had armies that needed men. So when you have lost troops, you have suffered casualties and you need to reinforce. Reinforcing pays extra, costs extra. Reinforcing mercenaries costs even more extra, or at least it did in the previous patches. So right now I'm paying an extra 0.58 per month to reinforce my armies, which I can afford, but barely. You can check in army maintenance what that is there. I'm going to keep going. They have no morale. It is likely by the time that we fight, they will get a little bit of morale back, but it won't be that big a deal, and they should then retreat immediately here. If I don't stack wipe them in this battle, they'll just retreat here, and I'm going to have my men waiting so that they will go, they'll be defeated, and Tunis will have no army left, which will actually make them want to peace a lot more, because they will have no army. And that'll say, you know what, we're probably done. Now this is something that's interesting. I do have inflation problems because of my gold mine, but it might be worth it to gain the extra 40 diplomatic power. Use caution's only 10 diplomatic power, but you don't gain inflation. Here I'm going to gain inflation, but get 50 diplomatic power, and I think that's actually worth it because I want some diplomatic power for when I get my first idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, inflation is noticed here, and it increases the cost of everything. And when you play Castile, when you own a gold mine, which they're pretty much the same locations, when you own a gold mine, which we do in Castile and La Mancha, or if you're playing the Ottomans, if you take Kosovo, that is a gold mine. It's a lot of money, right? I'm making 1.89 of my 22 total income from that one province of La Mancha. But it also increases inflation, which slowly increases the cost of things, unless you use this button to spend 75 administrative power to lower inflation, or you are running an advisor or the papal power to lower inflation. So eventually we're going to worry about that, but not right now. The inflation advisor is a administrative advisor. Let's go back to political. Now we didn't beat them because they did gain that morale. However, they're going to come back here, and they're going to arrive in Tripoli in one day. They'll have no morale, and we will just immediately defeat them because we're waiting for them. There we go, and they're gone. Tunis now has no army, and because I am sitting everywhere that they own that isn't already occupied by me, they can't get a new army. So now, Tunisian military strength becomes 12 reasons to peace out. We recognize that you're a lot stronger than us. If you can occupy every single territory that they own and wipe out every bit of their army, then those numbers up there, the positive reasons to sign the peace deal I'm sending versus the negative reasons not to, become 100 positive to 0 negative, and it just says totally defeated. And you can basically offer anything you want, and it will always be 100 reasons for and 0 against. But right now, I think they're going to make me take their capital, and once I have taken their capital, which I have just done, it might be over. Not quite, but you can see it's a lot closer. So now that has gained a lot more. You can see that the occupied and besieged provinces is up to 31. They don't have Tunis owns Tunis because they don't own Tunis. So that is there. When I get these two, it could be done. I'm not sure. We are going to go ahead and move my 4 siege general in here, and that will make that one be a lot closer. To being done. Now let's see where they're at right now with those two done. We're 1 away. So it is likely that in 1 month it will be 149 versus 149 or 148 versus 148. It's a little bit shaky from time to time. And then if I waited another month with no other changes, they would agree to this deal just because the war's gone on long enough kind of deal. But world has not decided that Aragon is no longer good power. So now it's 147 that has gone down. I never quite understand why it goes down, but it does sometimes go down. So now I have my 4 siege general. I don't need my 8. We're going to just bring him down. Also, I have 20 in the spy network with Portugal, so I'm going to go ahead and use that to get this claim while it's still cheap, because you'll notice that Tunis has turned red. Why that is after you get above 25, there's a chance that you can be discovered. And you can see spy discovered is in there. At some point, my agent in Tunis was discovered, and because of that, it goes down for, I think, a year. And then it will start going back up again after that year. That we've put a new spy in. We've done some things along that front. I'm just going to keep it going because 21 is still worth something. But that is, something to note. Also, we did lose 60 opinion with the Papal State. Might not hurt to improve relations. I will go ahead and improve relations. And because I've spent that diplomat, I am actually going to pull this diplomat back. There's no point in him sitting there. The point in keeping that active as it's going down is so you don't forget to reactivate it. But there's no other point to doing that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring all my men back up to, say, Huelva. And I'm also going to bring these 3 ships over here. Meet up with the rest of my fleet. And it's highly likely that Tunis will do it now. Nope. There are reasons to do it. Keep going down. Oh well. So 49% chance, basically a flip of a coin. We did not get it, but now it's a 64% chance. We are losing money. We seem to be hemorrhaging money. So I want to look at that. Reinforcements are 2.56, so that's most of what that is. So I'm not going to be too concerned about it. Also, we pay the fort maintenance for Kef. Tunis does not have fort maintenance because it's not an actual fort, it's just the capital. But Kef does. We're not planning on taking that. So I'm going to give that to Navarra. We still have the war score, but we don't pay for it anymore. Very important thing to remember. Usually when you own all of their forts, it's over. And they'll accept any peace deal you want. Now, I have to take a decision here. Do I want to fight this fight? If I fight this fight, there's a chance that I could steal some of those ships. There's also a chance I could lose some of my own. But I do think since most of those ships are transports, they're not meant for battle, and I still have my 4 battle, heavy ships, I think I'm going to go ahead and take that fight. Otherwise, I could send a diplomat right now, and they would accept. But I think I'm going to actually just take this fight and see if I can't steal one of their ships, because I don't think that I'm going to lose anything. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to lose anything. Let the fight go. And so we did. We gained 1 light ship, and we gained 1 transport, so that was well worth taking that fight. We're going to bring our ships back to Murcia to repair, and then we're going to go talk to Tunis. We're taking this with the plan to release Algiers, and then we're taking money and war reps and making them into rivalry and all sorts of fun stuff. Now, if you'll notice over here, you can see how much prestige I'm going to gain, how many diplomatic power this particular thing will cost, because I'm taking land that I did not claim. That's where the diplomatic power comes from. The over-aggressive expansion, which I'll talk about better when I'm doing with Granada. The overextension that I will suffer. And then the administrative power it will cost to core this. I'm actually ignoring these bottom 2 because I don't plan to hold on to this province. I'm going to release Algiers. So we're going to send that demand, and there it is. So now I've exiled all of those armies, and I have this army is walking in my new lands, so they won't be exiled. And because I'm still in war with Granada, I'm still allied to Tlemcen, they will still be able to walk through. And I think Tlemcen had the military access through Morocco. No, they did not. So, these guys are going to walk into this land, but unless I want to use my transports, which I suppose I do, I'll just head in there. My men are not going to be able to just walk there. So I'm going to have to go around this territory that would unblack flag them by holding the shift key and then keep moving. Because otherwise they'll be black flagged right here. And you, same deal. We're going to tell you to go there, shift, and then right click so that they won't get black flagged, because we can no longer move through Morocco. Tunis had military access through Morocco, and that's why I could previously tell them to go. I won't be able to do that now. So these guys will get to here. They would try and walk into Fez, be told no, and they would come back and just pop out here. In fact, I'll let that happen. Just kind of show you what that looks like. So I don't have military access through Morocco. They don't yet know that. So they're going to try. They're going to move to the border of Morocco. They're going to try and walk into Morocco. And then they're going to realize, as soon as they would have gotten into Morocco on April 3rd, they're going to realize, oh, we can't do that, and go right back. So I'm going to have them go here. However, these guys are exiled, so they can walk right through. They can walk anywhere. So once these guys are back here, we'll combine them up with these 2 and then hop on my 12 transports and just ship them across. So a couple of things to note. We have this province here. Some of my provinces lack cores. That's this one here, but I am not planning on keeping it, so I'm not going to spend the administrative power to core that one. The other thing to note is my corruption is growing. So corruption is a indicator here that it affects a lot of things. At 0, it doesn't affect very much, but it is currently changing by plus or negative. It goes up, which is the direction we don't want to go, by 0.06 every month, primarily due to overextension. Overextension is the amount of land you have that is not cored. So right now that's 13% overextension. If you can get 100% even, that's perfect. If you have 100.01%, you're in trouble. You have a lot of bad events. If you get to like 200 to 300%, you're in massive amount of trouble. So one of the things it does is also overextension, you can see, increases my national unrest as well. which is not good. But right now is not a giant problem. If I go back over here, click the Manage key to get in and out of that menu, I do have Separatists that are already 10% of the way toward firing. They want Algiers to be free, or at least be its own country, even if a vassal, although they want it to be independent, which they're going to get because I have that there. However, there's going to be similar people in Granada who won't be as lucky. So now when we take this peace deal, you can see that there are more nations than there were before. Aggressive expansion is a mechanic that is designed to try and keep you from growing too quickly. And the impacts of this decrease over time, but in the beginning of the game, it's really, really a big deal. In this case, I would have 4 nations who could join a coalition. A coalition is something that would form, and if it feels like it can take you in a fight, you and your allies, then anyone member in that coalition can declare what's called a punitive war to make you release things you have taken, or really to release anything, take land from you, to stop your aggressive expansion. And the members of that coalition, if they fire in a punitive war, cannot be separate pieced out like it did with Morocco and Tunis. You can only do a peace with the main nation that did it, and they're highly incentivized through the game mechanics to not peace out very quickly. It's a very difficult war to fight. Meanwhile, your allies can be pieced out individually. It's not something you ever really want to happen, at least until you're really, really crazy strong. So that's not really something we want to do. Now, in order for a coalition to form, there have to be 3 nations that are above 50 aggressive expansion with you that don't have a truce with you. So if we look down here, we can see that Granada will be there, Morocco will be there, Togut will be there, and Tunis will be there. So right now that tells me there's 4 countries. However, Granada will be gone. So they won't exist. That's down to 3. And Morocco and Tunis both have truces with me. So the truce will expire with Morocco in 1455 and with Tunis in 1466. So I will not have... So I have a truce with those. I won't have 3 nations with above 50 aggressive expansion, at least on this list, excuse me. At least on this list, until 1466, when Tunis's truce expires. So I'm not actually under threat of an actual coalition here, but that's the things to consider. The next thing to consider would be, do I care about any of those nations? Morocco was actually difficult to defeat. Togut is this 3-province minor with terrible land, and Tunis we just adamantly and completely destroyed. So I'm not actually that worried about this coalition anyway. In fact, we beat those nations just now pretty handily without Aragon, without one of our allies. But, you know, it would be a thing to think about. It's also worth thinking about the fact that Tlemcen, I am going to break that alliance as soon as I release Algiers, because they have land that Algiers has a core on. So they might be included in that. They might not be. Sometimes if you're an ally, they don't gain aggressive expansion in quite the same way as other nations around there. Also, most nations do not care if you're taking land from another religion, or at least another religious group. So I'm getting aggressive expansion with the Muslims in Northern Africa, but Portugal or France or England, they don't care that I'm taking land. I might be getting like 1 or 2 aggressive expansion for this. Not that big of a deal. Portugal maybe, because they also want Granada, but that would be just about it. Now, you like me because I've taken provinces from your rival. Oh, nice. I don't really care because I'm going to betray you in a moment. So this is what I was talking about. They are utterly defeated. I can literally demand anything that I want. Which means I want them to revoke their core here. So that when I have to deal with rebels, if I own Quetta, That's one less rebel that I have to deal with. One less rebel group that I would have to deal with if they don't own that core. I would like to do that. It usually gives you a little bit of prestige as well, and in fact it does. It gives me 0.7 prestige. None of these others will matter. It can't be done because the nation won't exist when they're done. We demand their full annexation. That's something to check here. If you go down to the summary, if you're trying to make sure that this nation does not exist at the end of this, make sure you have we demand their full annexation in here. You can see the inflation we're going to get for the money that I made sure that I added in. We can see the aggressive expansion penalty, the prestige, things like that. Tlumkin gains power projection, and the peace will cost me nothing because I waited for the mission and got my permanent claims on Granada. I have a claim to all of this territory, so it doesn't cost me any diplomatic power. It will give me 30 overextension, and it will cost me 124 administrative power to core all of that up, which is not a big deal. So send the demand, and there we go. So now to release a vassal, you want to go to your own diplomatic page, which there's two ways to get there. If you're open the diplomatic tab, normally speaking, you're going to be on some other country. You can go down here or click Z to open the diplomacy of your own country. I suppose another way would be to, let me make sure of that, be set to default for Portugal. If I right-click on my own territory, it goes back to my thing. Now, I can create a subject. Always, the ones you can create, the ones you have just taken over, the first province you would own from there, most recently will be on the bottom. Right now I can't even scroll down, but that would be there. And we're going to release Algiers from the one province that we took. We're going to release them. Now, I could play as them if I wanted to, and that would switch me over to there, but I don't want to do that. So we'll leave that unclicked. We will send that demand, and now this province is Algiers. And if I go to the diplomatic tab, you can see that they do have their cores on all of that land. Very handy. Now, with my free diplomat, I'm going to say, you know what? It's been fun. I'm going to dissolve this alliance. And if I hover over here, they do have 52 aggressive expansion, but you get a truce for, I think, 5 years with anyone you broke an alliance with, so that's not going to wind up being a problem. Yeah, 5-year truce. So in 5 years, that aggressive expansion will tick down. I should mention that. Aggressive expansion ticks away. So if I go over here to Portugal, like I said, didn't care that much. But every year on January 1, aggressive expansion ticks down based upon how they like you and your diplomatic reputation. So for me, on January 1st, the aggressive expansion will tick down 1.2. So if I don't take any other provinces between now and that 5 years, it will be gone in Portugal. It'll go down 1.2 in Tlumkin as well. So in 5 years, I will have lost 6 aggressive expansion, almost 6 aggressive expansion. No, 6 exactly. So it will not be over 50 by the time that truce is expired. By the way, Tunis, I think it was at 58. So they have a 15-year truce to 1466, which means that it will be 18 fewer down to 40, so they would not be in a coalition when the truce actually expired anyway. So now, because I released this province, they're no longer on this thing to be cored, just the 4 in Granada. I'm going to hit the core all button, and that will start coring. Coring is a process to remove the overextension and say, this is mine now, whether you like it or not. And it's based upon a lot of things for speed that I don't know well enough to try and actually get into. But they will all be done here on the 3rd of September, 1452. So until then, I will have to deal with this overextension, which is causing unrest. But, oh well. War exhaustion will also go down because I am at peace. So that will be beneficial to me. And then I will eventually have to worry about Granadan separatists of 9,000. So I do want to prepare for that. I'm going to keep my army down in the south just to ensure that I am ready for that rebellion. Now, you can immediately declare another war, but for beginners, I would say focus on coring, get this core, get your overextension down, make sure the rebellions are not going up too quickly before you would then worry about what's my next war. The next war, by the way, will be against Portugal. So I want to check and make sure they're permanent claims. Okay, so they're permanent claims. So I'm going to go ahead. I have reclaimed Andalusia. I'm going to get my claims. And I now have a claim on all of Iberia. Claim on all of the Aragon area and all of the Portugal area. And so my next war will be against Portugal. I'm going to finish coring this and then declare war on Portugal. I have another mission that I have fulfilled. What did I fulfill? Acquire subjects, because I have 2 subjects. I have Navarra and I have Algiers. Nice. Diplomatic annexation cost of minus 15%. You want to hold on to this. So I'm going to hold on to this until I'm ready to actually annex Navarra, which actually isn't going to be too far away, is it? June of 1455. So I'm going to go ahead and go 2 days forward to get a diplomat back, and I'm going to actually improve relations with them. In order to annex a vassal, you have to have been 10 years since you made them a vassal, so in this case it's going to be June of 1945, and have at least 190 opinion, and it costs diplomatic power to do that. So I'm going to try and get my opinion back up to 190, and then we will hit this button right before I start that, and it'll lower the cost of diplomatic power by 15%. Actually, it's for 25 years. I'm okay. We will go ahead and just do that there. The last thing is that I don't really care about the Safi trade node. Don't really care about this land. I want it to be good, but I don't really care about this land. So on 3 days, let's go here. I'm going to actually designate Algiers a march. This is something that is DLC related to the 3 DLC I have in this particular run, but I'm going to designate them a march. I can no longer annex them. They won't pay taxes, but then again, they're not paying me that much in taxes anyway, 0.38. But what that will do is it'll make them be stronger. They'll have a more force limit. They're keeping their money so they can have more army. And that's really what I wanted from them down here anyway. So I'm going to designate them a march. As long as they remain under 4%, under 25% of my development, which currently they're at 4, they should do that. Then they'll have all of these wonderful modifiers that make them so much better than the standard country. So that's what I'm going to do there. And with that, I'm going to end the episode off. Ooh, this guy got black flagged. Not sure how they got black flagged, but I accept. Go there. And here we're going to click A to attach to transport. Then I'm going to click my navy and move, and they will be with that navy. And we will move them on over. La-dee-dee, la-dee-dum. There we go. All right, they got black flagged because I no longer have right to be in Tlemcen. Nice. Oh, and I should talk about corruption. Keep going there. You don't want corruption if you can avoid it. So in this case, I do think I'm going to move this on up to get this to a green of -0. And then I'm going to mothball my forts in the north. I'm going to mothball this fort. I'm going to mothball my fort in my capital. So that saves me 2 ducats. I'm not going to mothball this fort because there could be a rebellion here. And I don't want to have to retake it. So we're going to leave that fort alone. We're going to leave that on. But I am now only losing 2.38. Rooting out corruption, you avoid the negative modifiers involved with having corruption, which is largely power costs and things like that. It costs more to do things. But you've paid money to do that. You pay ducats to do that. I'm currently losing 2.38, but I have 440, so I'm going to allow that money to be lost while I'm coring. And once this is done coring in 1452, so in 1 year, 1.5 years, then the rooting out corruption will go back to 0, and my balance should be relatively close, especially with the reinforcements being done as well at that point. So I should be making money again then, and we can worry about spending our money at that point. But I've been Taco Bowler Gaming. I've taken way too long anyway. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move this trade fleet out back into Sofia. That will help also get some more money, but I will be back next time. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. I'll see you next time.